Sorry, sometimes my camera likes to do that, doesn't it? There we go. All right. So we're going to get started today learning about fractions. Now, remember last week we learned a lot about fractions. We learned about how we can show fractions as part of a whole. We talked about showing as part of a candy bar, showing as part of a pizza or a pie or a cookie, things that you can share into equal pieces so that everyone gets a fair equal share. So we're going to be working on that a little bit more today. Now, as we work on fractions today, we're going to be working on comparing fractions and understanding what it means when we say it's an equivalent fraction. The word equivalent means equal. It means it's the same value. So remember how when we did multiplication and division and we did fact families and we talked about different ways to find an array and they were equal, right? So we were talking about equivalent equations. So like how 3 times 7 is the same as 7 times 3. Today, we're going to be working on equivalent fractions, which are finding fractions that are worth the same amount. So looking at our example, it says that this shows a fraction with a number line and with a shaded shape. So let's look at our number line first. Remember, we worked on this in class on Thursday and Friday. We started at 0, and then it shows 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. And my students that I had online Thursday and Friday when you guys were in building, we talked about how on a number line, we want to draw a candy bar, just like this one, so that we can see that this number line is the same thing as a fraction bar. And now when I look over here, it shows an equivalent fraction. It shows that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, just like on a number line. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces. On our number line, you can see it goes to 3/4. So it covers 3 of the pieces. On our fraction bar, it covers 1, 2, 3 pieces also. So this model shows 3/4 and this model shows 3/4. They're equivalent. They're worth the same amount. They are both worth 3/4. That's what we're going to work on today is how can we tell if fractions are worth the same amount? Let's look at question 1. What fraction of the circle is shaded? Remember, first I think how many pieces are shaded and how many make a whole pizza. So let me look. How many pieces are pink? Show me on your fingers. 3, very good. 1, 2, 3. 3 is my numerator, my top number. Now I need to think how many all together. Be careful, it's not how many white pieces there are. It's how many pieces make the whole pizza. So I have 3 pink ones, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 pieces all together. Oh, good job. I see it on your fingers. Very good. So it's 3 out of 8 pieces. We call that fraction 3/8. So we can see that this pizza represents 3/8. 3 of the 8 pieces are colored pink. Now let's look at our number line. We need to show marks on the number line with fractions to show 3/6. So what I showed my class to do last week was I told them to make a candy bar. So I took my marker tool, go ahead and you can click yours also, and go from 0 to 1 whole candy bar. And then I just connect those 2 points. Whoop. And another one. There we go. So just like they showed us up here, they showed us a candy bar also. Then I'm going to draw from my lines up to separate it into those equal pieces. This helps me see a little bit easier how many pieces are in the whole. So I've got a nice little candy bar here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal pieces. Now on a number line, I count each one of these as 1, right? I count each line. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. When I get to those lines, that's how many pieces would already be covered. And then I draw my fraction bar because they're all going to have the same number underneath. And that's how many pieces make a whole. How many pieces make a whole candy bar here? How many pieces would it take for me to eat a whole candy bar? How many pieces would it take, Isabella? What do you think? How many pieces make the whole candy bar? 6. Very good. And I saw Aiden sent it to me in the chat also. Good job, Isabella and Aiden. Yes, it takes 6 pieces. So each of these is 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6. Now it's asking me to show 3/6. 1, 2, 3/6. I'm going to grab my highlighter tool and I'm going to highlight 3/6. So now we've drawn a section to show 3/6. Go ahead and type done in the chat when you're ready for page 3. Awesome. It looks like most of us are done. I'm going to move on to page 3. And then I'm going to zoom in. Here we go. Question 3. What part of the whole is shaded? And write the fraction. So I've got this shape over here. It's not a usual shape. It's kind of a fun little trapezoid. So I need to figure out what part is shaded. What fraction is shaded? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 pieces that are shaded out of how many altogether? Go ahead and type that number in the chat for me. I want everyone to type in the chat. How many pieces make this whole trapezoid? How many pieces? If this was my cake, how many pieces would make a whole cake? And I have a number instead of a name in the chat. Could you please type me your name? That way I can get you marked for attendance. Thank you. See lots of answers. Let's see. I see lots of 8s. Let's check. So there's 5 shaded, 6, 7, 8. 8 pieces altogether. Hi, Lily. Have a great day. Good job, you guys. Yes, there are 8 pieces altogether. Nice work. So the fraction that is shaded is 5/8. Very good. All righty. Here's our next problem. Now it's our turn to shade it. Shade to show 7/8 of the rectangle. And it gives me another question. Write the fraction for the part that is not shaded. Which one do you not color in? Now, when we shade in parts of a fraction, I want you to use the highlighter tool. Because watch this. If I use the marker tool and I try to shade in 7/8, it covers up those lines. And then it's hard to see if they're equal parts or not. But if I use the highlighter tool and I click it twice, I can change it to be a bigger size and I still see my lines underneath. You can change your color of your highlighter too, if you want to change it to a different color. So please click your highlighter tool and I want to give you a couple of minutes to shade in 7/8 of this rectangle. And then write the part that is not shaded. Go ahead. So 7/8. Yours should look probably a little something like this. Here's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, and 7/8. Raise your hand if yours looks like mine. Oh, very good. Now, how many pieces are not shaded? Show me on your fingers. How many are not shaded? Just one. Good job. So there's one piece out of 8 that are not shaded. Very good. You guys are fraction rock stars already. I love it. All right. Now we're working with the number line. Remember, when I use a number line in fractions, I have to look between 0 and 1 whole, not just the whole number line. So it says, tell whether each statement is correct. Choose yes or no. Now, before I get into these questions, I want to make this number line a little bit easier for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line up from 0 to 1. And actually, I'm going to use my marker tool. And I'm going to change the color. Ah, that was too big. Oh, man. I was a little worried there. Here we go. 0 to 1. That's 1 candy bar. And then I draw my line. Go ahead and do that with me. Then I want you to change your color and draw a line from 1 to 2. That's our second candy bar. Oops. Change your color again and draw a candy bar from 2 to 3. There we go. All right, so now you should have 3 different colored candy bars. The reason we do different colors is so that you can see that each one of these are a separate candy bar. It's not one big candy bar with 6 pieces. It's 3 smaller candy bars that are each cut in half. They're cut in half because they have 2 equal pieces. So now that I've done all of this work, I can answer these questions a little bit easier. The fraction for point W is 1/2. Is W at 1/2? Yes or no? You can either press the thumbs up or thumbs down button on Zoom, or you can show me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Is 1/2 for W? Is this the same as 1/2? Yes or no? What do you guys think? Or you can type it in the chat. Yes or no? Genesee says yes. Sophia says yes. What do you guys think? Does it show 1/2? One of 2 equal pieces, less than 1? Yes, I agree. It is less than one whole candy bar, and it's one of two equal pieces. Yes. Good job. The fraction for point W, same point, is 2. This is 2 whole candy bars. Is this the same as 2 whole candy bars? Yes or no? What do you think? Is this the same as 2 whole candy bars? What do you guys think? Type it in the chat or press the thumbs up, thumbs down. Sophia says no. Louise says no. Good job, Louise. Daniela, Aiden say no. Chris says no. Very good. Yes, you guys are correct. It is not 2 whole candy bars. That would be right here. The fraction for point Z is 6 halves. Well, here's Z. If I were counting by halves, I would say this is 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 6 halves. Is Z at 6 halves? What do you think? Yes or no? What do you think? Is Z at 6 halves? Good morning. Thanks, Johnny. What do you guys think? If these are each half, so 1 half and 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, and 6 halves. Here's point Z. Is this at 6 halves? Is this line the same as 6 halves? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 halves. 5. It's not 6 yet. So not quite 6 halves. That one's kind of tricky. It's really close to 6 halves, isn't it? But it's right here before 6 halves. The fraction for point Z is 5 halves. Is it at 5 halves, the 5th marker? What do you guys think? Yes or no? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it at the 5th marker? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Good job. All righty. I'm going to scooch it down a little bit for question 6. Write the fraction for each letter on the number line. There may be more than one correct answer. So I'm going to draw my candy bars first, just like before. Do this with me, please. We're drawing from 0 to 1. Remember, we always go to 0 to the 1 whole candy bar. And then we do the pieces in between. And then I change my color, going from 1 whole candy bar to 2 whole candy bars. And I'm making my lines to show my equal parts. And then see, I start at 2, but I don't have a whole candy bar. So I'm going to draw it over like this, but I'm not going to close it because it's not the whole candy bar, because 3 is going to be over here somewhere. So I'm just going to kind of draw it out. So I'll give you a minute to do that. And now I look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in each piece. That means this first line, 1/4. I'm going to make it much smaller. And then I'm going to show you guys a little trick. So you make it smaller. And this goes here, because remember, this first line here is 0. This is my 0 line. There's nothing there yet. So once you get this 1/4, you can click duplicate. And that'll go to the next one. And then you just have to change that top number instead of 1 to 2. Duplicate again. You change the top number from 3 to, or from 2 to 3. Duplicate again. That way you don't have to go back and create a new text box every time. And it'll make them all the same size. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to do that because we have to name these points. So in order to name them, we have to know where these points are. There we go. So I'll give you guys a moment to do that. Let me know when you have finished this step. Once you finish that step, what I want you to practice on your own is I want you to find the fraction for A, B, and C. So then I want you to think, well, how many fourths is point A? How many fourths is point B? And then how many fourths is point C? Just by looking at your number line, that's what I want you to do. So when you're done, I want you to answer those 3 questions on your own. Okay, one more minute to finish this up, then we're going to move on to page 4. So page 4, we're going to start working on together. So we just did a little bit of practice of showing fractions on a number line and showing fractions in our usual shapes, like in some triangle or some trapezoids and circles and rectangles. Now we're going to show how fractions can be different, but be worth the same amount. So let's look at our example. It shows me 1/2 as one fraction, and it shows me 1, 2 out of 3, 4 pieces as another fraction. Now, when I look at these two fractions, I can see on both my number line and, whoops, that wasn't a very straight line, was it? On my number line and in my fraction bars, that they both fall at the exact same point. They're worth the same amount. So if I have half a candy bar, that's the same amount as if I were to have 2/4 of a candy bar. They equal the same thing. They fall on the same point of my number line and they're worth the same amount. The difference is that if I have half a candy bar, I have one big piece. If I have 2/4 of a candy bar, I have 2 smaller pieces that equal the same amount as that big piece. So you can see both rectangles have the same amount of shading. They're worth the same amount. That's what we're going to work on today, equivalent fractions. So let's look at question number 1. We need to decide if these shapes show equivalent fractions and circle yes or no. So I see on A, this is 1/4. 1 out of 4 pieces are colored in. On this second one, there are 1, 2 pieces out of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 out of 8 pieces. Now here's a trick. I can divide this into 4 pieces instead of 8. And then I can see, are they worth the same amount? Yes or no? What do you think? Type in the chat, yes or no. They're worth the same amount. So Sophia says yes. What do you guys think? Does this show the same amount as this piece? If I were to get this 1/4 of a piece of cake, is that the same as 2/8 of a cake? Okay. So I've got a couple of us. I need more people to answer. I only have Sophia and Aiden. What do you guys think? Is this the same amount as this? Here's another thing I can do. I can use multiplication. I'm going to multiply this times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Since 1 times 2 is 2, 4 times 2 is 8, I can multiply the same number by the top and bottom and get the same answer here. That means yes, they are equivalent fractions. They're worth the same amount. If I were to get 2/8 of a cake, that's the same as 1/4 of a cake. Let's look at B. This one might be a little easier to figure out. I have 1/2 of a pie and 2/6 of a pie. Do those look like the same amounts? I see Isabella shaking her head no. Aiden says no. What do you guys think? Is this the same amount as this? Are they equal? Are they equivalent? Sophia says no. Good. So no, you guys are correct. It is not equivalent. 1/2 is not the same as 2/6. 1/2 would be the same as 3/6, because if I colored in this piece too, then that would be the same as half of it, because see, 3 pieces would be colored in, 3 pieces would not. Half of it. But since it's just 2 pieces, it is not the same. They are not equal. Very good. All right. Ready for page 5. This is our last page. This math lesson's a little lengthy today because we had, this lesson is 10 pages in it. So we're doing 5 today, 5 tomorrow. Here we go. So now I want you to practice a little bit on your own. I'm going to go through each problem with you, but you are responsible for answering it on your own on your worksheet. Use the number lines to identify equivalent fractions in problems 2 and 3. So first I'm going to grab my, actually, you know what? I'm going to grab my shapes. I'm going to grab a line. I'm going to grab like 3 of them. And then I'm going to turn them so they go up and down. There's one. You know what? I actually don't need 3 of them. I can just use 1 of them and press. Oops, that one's not quite straight. There we go. Duplicate, duplicate. So look at this. I'm going to put 1 of them there, 1 of them there, 1 of them there. I'm putting 1 of them on each of those fractions. See how 1/3 is right there? 2/3 is right there. 3/3 is right there. This line will show me my equivalent fractions. It'll show me which ones are worth the same amount. Go ahead and do that on yours also. Remember, press the shapes button, click the line, and then just press the turn arrow. See? And it'll turn it for you. Then you can press duplicate, duplicate. The line is at the very top. If you click shapes, the line is this one right here, right next to the arrows. And then you press this turn button, click it once. And then duplicate it. All right. Once you've done that, then you're going to decide, what is 2/6 equal to? What is 2/3 equal to? Looking at your number line, here's 2/6, here is 2/3. You're going to look for the other fraction to decide what it's equal to. So if it's 2/6, how many thirds is it equal to? If it's 2/3, how many sixths is it equal to? Go ahead and write your answers for those 2 questions. When you're done with that problem, let me know in the chat. Let me know when you're done with those two in the chat, when you found the equivalent fraction. It's 2/6. Which third does it share a line with? If it's 2/3, what sixth does it share a line with? So Isabella, so Isabella, instead of writing 3, you've got to write what fraction is it? Is it 1/3, 2/3, or 3/3? And same with the 6. The 4 is correct, but for what? You've got to write the whole fraction. Very close though. So your answer should look something like this: 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6/6. How many thirds and how many sixths? Luis, are you done with this problem? Yes, okay. Once you finish that, you can look at these two hexagons. Look at the fractions shown by the shaded hexagons. Write equivalent fractions for the shaded parts. So what it wants you to do is it wants you to write this fraction in this first box. It wants you to write this second fraction in this second box to show that they are equal. So how many pieces are shaded? How many altogether in the first box? How many pieces are shaded? How many altogether in the second box? Once you finish this problem, the last problem on this page that you're going to do independently, you're going to shade 6/8 of this rectangle A. And then you're going to shade rectangle B to show a fraction equivalent to 6/8. So you'll look at how much did you shade of this shape and how much would you shade of this one. And then you are going to write this fraction on this line. So you'll notice there's 4 pieces. So of 6/8, I'm going to do yellow. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal pieces. Now it looks like this one's in 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. How many of these pieces would you shade? And what fraction is it if it's now fourths? So I'm going to give you guys about 4 minutes to finish this page and then a 3-minute break before we start reading. So about 4 minutes to finish this page and then a 3-minute break. Go ahead and begin.